I'm the Magpie, and this week I'm here with the round robin and a drum machine that I have put here on the piano because this is sort of the finale for what I wanted to do with that particular part of this piano that I made a tour of last week. But I kind of said that, ooh, I have a cable that goes from the drum machine in here somewhere here on the round robin because I'm doing a bit of a magic trick, I think I said, which is kind of a weird phrasing for what I'm doing. But yeah, so I've drilled a hole here in the round robin, I've drilled a hole here in the drum machine, and we're gonna cut back to introducing this in a second because I needed a lot of help from Analog Weapon, my friend, who together with DDC, we three made the round robin together, so he is very much the one to ask if you have funny ideas for what to do with it, I guess. But I wanted to start making videos with the cat keyboard since I'm doing a limited edition special cat keyboard round robin and stuff like that. But I figured this is just so good and we finished it just now, so I might as well just make a video on it. And then I'm gonna move on to cat keyboard videos. But let me quickly just do it, and you can see how fluent this trick is without even explaining it. And then I'm gonna jump a bit back in time because I recorded when we started doing this a couple of weeks ago. But if we have the drum machine going and we start doing something very four on the flourish. Just something like that. And then, oh, we can do the entire thing. I'm gonna do like this. And right away, it's just glorious in my opinion. So, if you don't get what it is I'm doing, let's go back in time and start explaining it. And then we're gonna come back here and make more sounds. This is just so good. Shit. Okay. Analog is here. He had no idea that we were gonna film this because we were doing other stuff. But I had this idea for a thing that I would like to do because an essential part of this setup now is, of course, a round robin. And this is in frame for you, Analog, because I'm a great host.
Oh my god.
Underneath it, I have a drum machine. And something that I really like doing with a drum machine is going to a random kit. I think it's specifically this drum machine. But this is a thing that is probably possible to do on a lot of like digital gear and stuff. And what I like to do is I go into kits when I have like a beat going, and then I just scroll this encoder to pick kit, but I never stop to actually make a decision. Instead, I'm just continuously scrolling it, and it becomes really weird, bizarre beats because it's like going between all of the different sounds for all of the different kits on all of the different sounds that I have put out in the sequence of what I am playing. On the round robin, we used all the pins but 2 on the microcontroller that we are using. So my idea is to take those 2 pins because we put little pads for them in case we ever come up with something in the future. And the future is fucking here, man.
Oh my god. You want to take those 2 to make them somehow move that encoder?
Indeed, I do. So in the round robin, we have this thing for our waveform scroller. When you can hold a button and then you turn our encoder and the encoder is auto-scrolling. Like, you see what I'm getting here. It's something I've been obsessing about. So we even implemented it into the round robin, even though it's not even a fucking drum machine.
It's inspired by that.
Yeah, exactly. I want to do this to be able to control from the round robin the drum machine with the same thing. And it just so happens that this drum machine, I'm grabbing the other camera. But yeah, you can see this drum machine is already kind of,
oh my gosh,
kind of prepared for this. Those are the 3 pins. I'm just showing the 3 pins to the other camera. So those 3 pins are what we need. In theory, those 2 edge pins of a rotary encoder, because the rotary encoder, it's essentially 3 pins like apart, but we're gonna want to send pulses on, maybe we even just need 1 to go in one direction, but I think it's kind of cool to go back and forth, right?
You need 2 to go even in one direction, yeah.
Aha.
Because that's the 2 are that's their how they work, because it's the order that the pulse comes in is how it knows the direction, I believe. Yeah.
And then the center pin is just what's hooked up to whatever supercomputer they look to have.
I forget even which is which in orientation, but yeah.
If we are gonna cut here and show you when we did it, I think. Like, I don't know. I just wanted to record an intro before doing it.
It's a good idea to record it first too, because then you get me actually seeing what you're talking about.
Okay, so day 1 of messing with this, analog just went to bed. We actually made some progress. So what I've done is I've just soldered 2 wires to the 2 sides of the encoder. Here, you can see 2 wires. And then we wanted to have resistors, so we started with 10K resistors for safety, since we're gonna mess around with power, but I had to bump it down to 1K, and what I noticed that I could do, and I did it just with an audio cable hooked up to the drum machine, is that if I take those resistors and I tap on ground on this audio cable, so I'm tapping on the ground in the drum machine, then it was actually flipping between. When I'm tapping with the 2 resistors, I'm always gonna be a bit off. And depending on which one I am off with, that's the direction it's gonna step. So that's the behavior then that we wanna mimic. So what we have done as a first test here, day 1, and I'm actually connecting audio in to audio out on the round robin, just so we get a ground connection between them. But what we have done is we have done a little bit of code here, because these 2 wires with the 1K resistors are now connected to those 2 leftover pins on our microcontroller. So if I tap octave down, one of them is gonna get a pulse, just high signal, and then it goes back to ground when I release it. Same on that one. So we're working with like pull up, pull down on those 2 pins. And if I then tap them, you can see that it's changing which kit depending on the direction I roll. I go in one direction or the other direction. So now we're gonna continue and see if we can figure out how to automate that, so I don't have to push buttons here instead of scrolling here, because that would be kind of stupid. But yeah, nice. Pretty much like that, yes.
This one.
I'm coding. Leave me alone.
I think it's actually funnier if you make PDC be in the video when he doesn't want to be. He's just gonna keep interjecting bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you guys do you, and I'm gonna do this. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna program the round robin with the code that Analog just sent me. So I have it hooked up here to the computer. And that
as long as you don't get angry, we interrupt you.
No. So round robin is switching kit on the drum machine. So if I do more sounds on the drum machine, guys, you're not gonna believe how cool that is in the video.
Wow.
I'm faking it. I think it sounds really good.
Unclear to me how I thought this was gonna be a good idea for content.
Yeah,
Bro,
me too.
you don't believe in us. Just believe the process.
He didn't even give us a chance. We tried our best.
Like, I don't know, as a camera at least. It's like, I can feel that.
But I have nothing to look at, so I'm like not even reacting. I'm just looking at my desk.
Well, I'm gonna commission a VTuber model just for you, okay?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, let's start over. Welcome back here. So I've just programmed it for like to stick to the timeline here, and yeah, I want to show you a tiny bit of a PSA moment here because we experimented a tiny bit with trying to do it with other things that has a rotary encoder, and it actually broke the round robin kind of fast. So that's a bit of a bummer, and I don't recommend you wanting to try this out, even though it's really, really, really glorious to do. Like, if anybody really, really wants to explore this, I guess join the Discord and we can talk about it. But as you can see here, as soon as I fire up the drum machine, even without turning on the round robin, this LED lights up because we somehow fried one of the pins, I think, on the microcontroller inside. So we have to switch pins, and luckily for us we could switch to this LED, and it really doesn't affect me that much. So everything else works, but the pulses that are going to this encoder to automate it is now happening on that LED, and you can you see that? Like, it doesn't necessarily love it. Or maybe it does. But as soon as I turn on the round robin, it starts blinking as it should, and we don't have that going on. So, I don't know, it's just, I guess I'm lucky sometimes. But, of course, with this setup that I have created here, these two are synced to the Electro Harmonix 45,000, but that one is then in turn synced from the computer, like with a master MIDI clock. So essentially all of this can become very musical, I guess, and not just wild and crazy. But of course it can also become wild and crazy. But if we like put the round robin in a MIDI sync mode, and it also means that the pulse situation that is connected to the drum machine is sort of synced to the tempo of what the drums are gonna play. So if I do a beat again on it, just like that, then I can go to instrument, and we can have only the snare drum be the instrument, and I have to do some more steps. I mean, that's kind of cool. Every time it hits the snare, it's gonna be 1 out of, I don't know, did I do 6? So 6 snares, because the way I play this now is, this of course controls speed of movement, as you can kind of see here on the screen, that it's just changing rapidly at this point. But then if I hold these two buttons, I can pick how many times it's gonna walk, and then we have a couple of different modes that I can go between if I hold those two buttons and press the encoder. So it's very much for me now about these two arrow keys and the encoder, because yeah, that was sort of one of the few button combinations that we have not yet used up on the round robin to begin with, to just do a bunch of round robin shenanigans. But yeah, there's a random mode, and there's a mode just going in one direction, and of course a mode just going in the other direction, and that's all made for primarily if I were to hook it up to a bunch of other things, which I do want to explore. I just don't have that many things with rotary encoders on them, and as soon as I tried it with something else than this particular drum machine, it kind of broke. So it's gonna be a great future, I guess. But it's, yeah, just very much an interesting way to make beats now for me. I mean, those two buttons, like either doing a specific instrument, like I'm doing now with that pattern here, or doing the entire kit. Those are the two things that I primarily, like, that was a reason why I wanted to do this automated rotary encoder, because it's one of the things that I usually do. Other than that, I don't really know this drum machine very well, so I don't know what you can actually do with the encoder. It's, I guess, something I would have to explore. So that's silly of me to not have done. But if we turn on some stuff in the round robin, so I just turned on some units and stuff, and we're doing a scale also now. That makes it more interesting if I like put in notes. And then turning on our own rotary encoder movement that we have created in the round robin that is very much inspired by this idea that I've had for so many years. They're kind of gonna walk together in a sense, because it's everything that is happening is just based on the BPM that is set by the 45,000 at the moment. Meaning that I can also, of course, make quantized loops and stuff. So if I do that, just quickly. Yeah. And then, I mean, that's just really cool. I don't know what to do from here. Oh, that's actually really cool. So, the thing that happens is very much that even though I started off just working on where it was set to be a hi-hat sound, since we're walking that many steps, I mean, I can go up to, I don't remember what Analog told me, he made it so it's like up to 10 or 20 maybe, and then it just jumps drastically up to like 100, the latest one. He can tell you in the comments if you're interested. Doesn't really matter, but it means that we're very quickly like leaving hi-hat territory, you know? So is just a very interesting way to make beats, in my opinion. So yeah, I don't know where I'm gonna take it from here. As I've stated, I don't have many other things to explore this with at the moment, but if I ever acquire gear that has a rotary encoder, you can be damn sure that I'm gonna open it up and see if I can do this.